him. So once again, welcome everybody for today's day 4 Discover Yourself Essence of Bhagavad Gita session. I would like to request you if you could turn on your videos if possible. It would be very lively. Today we have the quiz and it's very interesting topic. We can make it more interactive. So if it is possible, please turn on your video. It's a humble request. And also, like last time, please unmute yourself and volunteer yourself to share the thoughts for the questions or the topics if you already know. So it is like you will also refresh yourself what we learned or what are we learning or discussing. So a quick recap of what we did in this past 3 sessions. In the first session, we learned about a mastermind behind the mysterious universe. Anyone remember what are the topic we discussed? Any 1 or 2 topics from the first session?
We discussed about how the living entities survive in the universe and who is giving them the directions to do so and so things in the daily life.
Thank you, Batma. I noticed couple more join, Deeja and Niti. So I was telling, like, if possible, you could turn on your videos to make the session more interactive and lively. And please unmute yourself and participate in the discussion.
Hi.
Hi, Deeja.
Hi, I am sorry today I can't. I got mehndi in my hair, so sorry about that. My timing is a little bit off. So next time,
no worries.
sorry
so
about
you
that.
will turn on your audio for sure,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the first session, as Batma Priya mentioned, we learned about who is the mastermind or who is the creator who made all this cosmic universe. The second session was about accessing truth beyond 4 defects. We discussed about the 4 defects we have and what are the 3 ways to perceive knowledge. And we concluded there that Shapta Praman is the foremost and it's the one which we can believe. The last session, the third session, we discussed about practical Vedic solutions to our problems of life. We also discussed Vedas are mothers and God is father. If you want to know God, that is your father, you can ask your mother, that is Vedas. You can yourself find it. Say if I born in India, I can find my father without asking my mother by doing this research, DNA research across all the men and figure out in multiple years. But if I ask my mom, she will let me know in a minute, less than a minute, hey, this is your dad, like that. So to know the truths about life, about God, how to become happy, everything is given in Vedas. Vedas are the beautiful manual of life. That's what we discussed last week. So today's topic is about the soul. We discussed like how the soul passes through various stages of life, acquiring different bodies as we pass from birth to old age and death. We discussed this real world problem last week. So we will discuss about the important knowledge given in Vedas about the soul, the science of soul. Let's begin our discussion. So we are going to discuss these subtopics today. First, am I matter or am I a spirit? What is the 6 changes of a living body? Then, scientific proofs for existence of an anti-material personality. The mechanism of reincarnation. What is the difference between soul and super soul? That is the Paramatma, God. Then practical benefits of this knowledge. Why I need to know about the soul. How am I going to use it for my day-to-day life? And with a couple more stories, interesting stories, you will love it. So if I ask you a question, who are you? What you will say? Anyone? Who are you? That's the question. Who are you? What you will say?
I say I'm a Shuddhatma. This is Dheerja.
Okay. So first you said you're an Atma, next followed by your name, right? Probably most people will say, I am connected with the body. I am Shama. I am Deeja. I am Charlata. I am Nirali. I am Niti. I am Padmapriya. I am Ram. So Dr. Harry Monson, professor of anatomy, College of Medicine, says the human body, most parts consist of water. Rest, you can see 5 pounds of calcium. It's like the pounds vary in pounds, ounce, like that. But the body is made of calcium, phosphate, potassium, sulfur, sodium, magnesium. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not in a chemistry lab to figure out, am I just this? Chemicals. All he says is our human body consists of water and different chemicals. So when you hear about all these combinations of chemicals, that might worth maybe $3-4. So we are just $4 worth. So the question come in our mind when we hear this is, am I just a combination of chemical? Is that all? My worth is less than even $10. One set of dosa or biryani in our Indian market, Indian restaurant is more than $3 worth. So am I less than that? Are we more than this $4 or worth of chemical our body is worth to it? So imagine like you are getting a call that your friend driving in Mercedes Benz met with an accident. So will you take the Mercedes Benz to the hospital, to the garage for repair, or you will go and take your friend to the hospital? What you will do? If you think about it, the Mercedes Benz cost more, right? It might be more like $50,000, but our friend body is just $4 or $5, which is less than a dosa. What you will do? Will we take our Benz or my friend? Obviously, everybody will choose to pick a friend, call the ambulance, take him to the hospital first. Why? It's just $4, right? Because our body, there is something valuable in it. If I just calculate my body alone, yeah, it's made of water and chemicals, but there is something more valuable in it, worth than a Benz. That's our real identity. So if you see this person in the picture, her name is Jia Khan, one of the India's rising film star. She was found dead in her family apartment at the age of 25. She is dead now in her bed. Now, if she see the body, it has no feeling, no thinking, no desire, no movement at all. Although all the chemicals present, which were there when she was alive, were still there when she was dead. But body is same. But what is the one thing was missing when she was alive and when she is dead is something that makes our body more valuable. So when she died, the body was taken to the graveyard and burned to ashes. In this world, anybody dies, the people throw the body out, considering the dead body is a bag of flesh and bones and nothing more. So what is that more valuable is the something which is inside the body, that is the soul, which we are going to discuss. Say if I'm getting a big TV like 52-inch, the TV will come in a box packed very nicely with a thermocol front and back. Once The TV is in, I will take out the TV and then I will throw the box and thermocol to the trash. Similarly, at the time of death, the soul comes out of the body like the TV comes out of the box. We will throw the thermocol box, that is the body, outside. We don't want that further. So reference for it is the first verse from Bhagavad Gita. There are a lot of verses I posted in WhatsApp. The section which I posted from second chapter contains more details about the soul. But here I'm just referring couple. So the sloka dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara prapte dhirastatra namuhyati. So if you already know the verse or if you want to recite, please recite with me. So the meaning of this verse is, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the time of death. So a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. This verse is second chapter, 13 verse. The next one which relate to the soul is Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuyaha ajo nitya sashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sarire. This is 2.20, the verse. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has come into being. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not. He is unborn, eternal, and ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So this is what the soul is. As we read the picture when you saw, this is how the soul passes from the baby to the childhood, to the youth, to old age. Similarly, it will come out of the old body and then goes to another body. Therefore, the soul never dies. Also, the body dies. So here is a differentiation between soul and body. Matter, it's 5 elements. Body is made of matter, but soul is a spirit made of spiritual substance. Body is dead and it is not conscious. Example, nowadays it's like whenever we go out, we are wearing the gloves. Even you can see before, like when you are baking in oven, you will wear gloves. And all others during our winter, we are wearing gloves. You can see doctors, many uses gloves. You will put your hand in gloves and it is alive when you move it. And I'm present in the body, then it appears lively. I have my face expression, I'm making gestures, I'm thinking and acting accordingly, I'm feeling. But soul is our consciousness, body is not the consciousness. When I take out the gloves, it won't do anything, it's a dead matter. Likewise, body changes from childhood to old age. When I was in the child body, then to youth, now I'm started growing old. But the soul is always young. So body is a matter, it don't have any consciousness. Body changes, body will die, and also it is a temporary. But the soul is eternal. Old man cannot eat, walk, hear, but the soul desires to do all these things. So it leaves the old body and occupies another body again. So the backup for this reference is Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani gritnati naroparani tata sarirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Meaning is, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old ones. So this is what I was referring. All the details, you can see it in Sankhya Yoga section of the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, verse between 11 to 30. So if you see in mirror or in your selfie camera. You are not the body that you see in the mirror. You are the Atma, the real driver of the body. So the material body is made of flesh, bones, as we are seeing here. We are not that. We are something different. Just like as we discussed, we are wearing the gloves and removing it. Likewise, but the soul is the same. And we discussed about different drivers. Like when I was young, I will used to drive this tricycle, bicycle, bike, car, or I can drive the aeroplane. The vehicle is different, but the one driving, the real driver is the same. So from the material point of view, people generally think we are bodies made up of matter. We are no more than a chemical bundle. Everything is finished at the time of death. In a spiritual point of view, you can see we are not the material body which has this flesh and bones. We are spirit soul encaged in the material body. So as you can see in the picture, there is a spark present in a cow, human, and elephant, all the animals, even in the snake. So that shining spark of soul is present in everybody, irrespective of animal or human. These bodies are the vehicle of the soul. So this is an example, similarly comparison with the driver and a car and the human body. So the car has everything, the light, eyes, sound, energy, it will move. But when the driver came out of that car, the car cannot budge even 1 inch. Similarly, when the soul comes out of the body can't do anything, even like it can't move or it can't even do anything. Just a sneezing also the body cannot do if the soul is out of the body. Similarly, like just as the bird is trapped in a cage, last week we saw a beautiful cage and inside it a gold beautiful cage, inside it a bird. Similarly, our soul is trapped inside the body, which is made up of 5 elements, which is earth, water, fire, and ether. So people unfortunately always thinking about the body, that is the matter. How many types of shoes I can have, different type of jeans, different type of watches, t-shirts, hairstyles. We spend a lot for this body, but always we used to think about the body, but nobody thinks about the real I, real person, real who I am. So not knowing the real identity of the soul, we are spending or pampering the cage without feeling without feeding the soul, or we are not feeling that. Imagine you paint a car nicely, you garland the car, you water it, but you do not feed the driver. Then how will the car drive? The driver needs something to eat to keep him healthy, right? Or he need to sleep. Or he might say like, I cannot drive now because I feel sleepy. Then you will be scared to sit inside the car. Similarly, the soul is often forgotten. That's the point we are discussing here. You can easily observe someone taken to a 10-story building, tie hands, legs, and throw out. He tries to free himself. Who is trying to free himself? It's the soul. A dead body or a laptop, if I'm throwing my AirPod case out, it won't do anything. I'm throwing out, it's not trying anything, but the body containing soul will try to free himself. There was a discussion between Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and a reporter. A reporter was asking, Swami, I think our body is just a complex machine that gets on out and crash. It's similar to the car. Why should we bother about some soul which is powering the body? So you can see Srila Prabhupada respond, does your car or computer grow? Do you have a male car and a female car that can unite and produce a baby car? A living body undergoes 6 changes, whereas matter just appreciate. It is the soul that makes the body alive. So we are stepping into the next section of our discussion, which is the 6 changes of the living body. So what is the difference between a living body and a robot? A living body undergoes 6 changes while matter only dwindles. And a male and female living body can multiply, similar like the plant species, but machines cannot reproduce by union. Living body has consciousness, that is thinking, feeling, willing. How we will define the consciousness? It's thinking, feeling, and willing, but matter has no consciousness. Say I have this phone with me and I played this iMusic. The song was very wonderful, and I'm saying, wow, you played very nicely. I love the song. The phone won't respond back to me. It won't say thank you, it won't smile, or it won't shy for the compliment. But if I'm making this compliment to my friend, say I'm saying to, hey Batma, thank you. He unmuted and responded back, hey Santhya. And I asked, like, can you turn on the video? You are with an emotions, so you are saying that no, I can't turn on the video. But if I say the same thing to this material thing, they won't respond. They will just be as it is, which means these matters don't have the 3 things, that is thinking, feeling, or willing, or we cannot see those emotions out. So these are the 6 changes each and every living entity undergo. First, it will take birth, like the child is born. Next, the growth. There is growth for each living entities. Next, the maintenance. That is, if we are falling sick, then we need to maintain the body by taking medicines or visiting hospitals. Then the production of byproduct. After marriage, we will produce our byproducts, or we will issue the younger one. Next, the body dwindles. Gradually, it gets older and diminish gradually in size, amount, or strength. The last one is the death. One is either buried in graveyard or burned, but death is eternal, like we saw last week session about the real problems of life. So the soul is covered by gross and subtle coverings. What is that gross? The 5 material elements, that is the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Bhume, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kanamcha. So these 5, gross body is made up of these 5 materials. Next, after the gross body is the subtle body, which consists of mind, intelligence, and ego, as you see in this picture. What is that? Like, we have a hardware. I have my laptop here. So inside the hardware, there is a software. So the mind is the subtle portion of the brain. We think, we feel, and we will. Mind is like software, and our intelligence is like the central processing unit in the computer, because intelligence is a decision maker. And what is that ego? That is our identity, which gives us the sense of I, like I am driving my car. So I think I am the Mercedes car. If a rickshaw wala comes, I say, hey, move aside. I am the Benz car. And the rickshaw wala will move, thinking I am the car. So I'm thinking that I am the car, called ahankar. The ahankar, or false ego, means to think I am the body. Actually, neither I am the car nor he is the rickshaw. I am the Benz car driver and he is the rickshaw driver. But the ego makes us to think I am this car. So in this way, mind, intelligence, and ego is called subtle body, and earth, water, fire, and ether are called gross body. And inside, excuse me, and inside this gross and subtle body, there is the soul. I would like to share a story. You might know this already. I'm not sure. Let me share it, then you tell me what you feel. You all know King Janaka, right? He is a great king. He was never defeated in any war. One night he got a nightmare that he was so badly defeated and exiled out of his kingdom. He could not even get a bowl of gruel to eat, nothing. He couldn't get anything at all. So he was so thirsty, he didn't get any water. No water, nobody is giving the water. After he was struggling, crying in the dream, after waking up for many hours of hunger, thirsty, and tired, he encounters some kind of person who finally gives him some like bowl of rice. So this is still in his dream. He is struggling hard. He was suffering for many hours with hunger, thirsty, and he was so tired. Then someone gives some food, this much food. See, if you're so thirsty in this scorching summer and someone giving half a cup of water and you are about to take it, someone just scoops that and everything fell down. So everything is filled with dust. And King Janaka sat up like, oh my God, what is it? In the dream itself, he screamed and he woke up. And he was like, what is it? I was never got defeated so far. So he called out all his royal courtiers. They came and asked, like, what's the matter? King Janaka kept repeating, is this the reality? Is that the reality? Is it real? So no amount of soothing from anyone helped him. Finally, a great sannyasi, a spiritual master, came. He just listened to King Janaka and he gave the spiritual enlightenment to Janaka. I'll just tell the gist because it will take a long to discuss what was the discussion. What we know, I'll just tell a gist of it. The spiritual master asked Janaka, did you experience what happened in the dream? Janaka said, yes, I did it. Again, the spiritual master asked, are you experiencing your present waking state? Janaka said, yes. Spiritual master said, neither that is reality nor this is reality. That is, dream is not real and your present state is not real. Only you are the reality. The you, right? He is referring to the you in the answer is that Atma, that is the soul or consciousness. Mandukya Upanishad says there are three states of this you. That is the waker, waking state, dreamer, dreaming state, a sleeper, sleep state, a total unawareness state. As a waker, you experience with your body and your mind when you wake. As a dreamer, you just experience with your mind because when you sleep or dream, during your sleep, the body is like a dead body, it won't act. And when you sleep, there is nothing. But your soul or consciousness is neither the waker nor the dreamer nor the sleeper. Your true or real nature is none of these three. It's a bit confusing, isn't it? Janaka also got confused. It's like, so which state I am, waker, dreamer, or sleeper? So he asked this again. Your true real nature is your consciousness. This is the answer to the deep philosophical spiritual question, who am I? I am not my body. I am not my mind. I am not the ego. I am my consciousness. Consciousness pervades my body and mind and pervades all my three states mentioned above, the waker, dreamer, and sleeper. And yet consciousness is separate from them and is the only reality. It is only eternal and immanent entity which is one with nature and universe. So how can I know or understand consciousness? One sage, one person, great person explained, The one who goes to the mountain top seeking the answer is lost. The one who immersed in the mundane material world or ego is lost. The only way is to live a spiritual life, a life of virtues, values, grace, goodness, and compassion. So moving on, we read about like we are that consciousness for the soul. Let's see what about that soul. Soul is made of Sat Chit Ananda, that is eternity, knowledge, and bliss that we discussed last week. Like Ananda, the happiness, everyone seeks happiness. Everybody wants to live forever. No one wants to die. Why? Because soul lives forever. They are eternal. That is the quality or characteristic of the soul. Eternal one. And next, the knowledge. If you see our small kids, like even when I was a kid, I was playing characters from Ramayana or Mahabharata. I'll say like, I want to kill this Ravan. He kidnapped. He's a bad guy. He's a demon having 10 heads. I'll say, I am Ram. I'm going to finish you, like that. Our internal consciousness know what is right and what is wrong. Even sometimes they will say like, my instinct told me he is bad, or the action he did is bad. So we already know what it is based on our knowledge, but it is covered with illusion. The soul carries full knowledge. And the bliss, everybody is working hard for happiness. We earn to purchase happiness, but the soul is always happy in bliss. That is Ananda. So Satchitananda is the nature of the soul. But it is covered by, as I said, the two coverings. At the time of death, what happens? The soul leaves one body and goes to the next. And while going, the soul is covered by mind, intelligence, and ego. Where his desires are stored, he carries the desire in the form of mind, intelligence, and ego. And depending on what desire he has, depending on what karma, good or bad karma he did, accordingly, he will be awarded with another body. That is given in Bhagavad Gita. So now it's the quiz time. I want you to unmute and let's try it out. Shall we start? Ready?
Sure.
Yeah. What are the characteristics of the soul?
Imperishable.
How much time? Maybe we will pass 30 seconds for a question like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Teja.
Yeah, I'll give one quality. I guess other people
Sure.
have to answer too. Or okay, imperishable.
Yes, that's correct.
Consciousness.
Consciousness, yep.
Eternal.
Yes, soul is eternal. That's it. Okay. So as you all right, soul is having lot of characteristics. You can refer to Bhagavad Gita chapter 223 to 25. Soul cannot cut by weapon, cannot burn by fire or fire weapon, the nuclear weapon, cannot moisten by water or water weapon, cannot wither by wind. It's unbreakable, it's eternal. It never changes, it's imperishable. Everything is correct. The next question, do soul undergo changes like bodies?
No.
No, that's right. Soul is steady. The reference is the 20th verse in Bhagavad Gita. Also, soul is immutable. It's in 21 and 25. What is the size of the soul? First, there is a size to the soul?
No, it's not measurable.
Okay. If we want to measure, can we able to measure it?
It's infinite.
Infinite. Soul is immeasurable. It is too small to measure by material nature. A reference is 18th verse from 2nd chapter. But Svetasvatara Upanishad states that the soul size is 1/10,000th tip of the hair. My hair itself like this size. In this, if I cut this into 10,000th the tip, what is the size? That is the size of the soul. So
Wow.
we cannot measure by our material means. This hair itself I cannot measure. So where in the 10,000th tip I'm going to measure.
But
Okay.
according to the Gita, it's immeasurable.
Yeah, it is immeasurable by the material means. That's correct. Then what is the position of the soul? Think about this much, right? It's immeasurable. Do it sit somewhere? Do you know what is the position of the soul? Anyone? You can give it a try. It is
We cannot
in
determine.
the region of the heart. Reference is 17 and 22nd verse from Bhagavad Gita, and also in Mundaka Upanishad, it states the position of the heart. So I got a question when I read this. So the soul is present in the heart. So what if they do a surgery and take out my heart? So the soul is gone out. Now there are a lot of heart transplantations, right? So if someone their heart, so my soul is gone and another soul is in. So am I not me? You are getting this question when I say the soul is positioned in the region of heart. Yes, no. If you interact, I will tell more stories. Well, we can move on to the next question.
Shama, for me, I think it's less the position. It was the first question about the size of the soul, right? I don't know why, but then when you look at that picture of Krishna talking to Arjuna in the war field, my sense of soul was like it's really huge, and I think from how you are describing, it's actually the reverse. So that was just obviously it's just a concept, but just looking, from my childhood watching that on TV, I always used to think our consciousness and soul is really like that
A
big.
big, huge size, right?
Yeah,
It's like we
because
want to
how
see
Krishna,
like this multi-storied building.
exactly. That's how Krishna presented himself to Arjuna. So that's what I had always in my mind. So I found it very
So
interesting.
it's not the size of soul he presented. He presented the universal form, which has everything, that he is the creator of everything. So he presented in way everything is in me. I am everything, that way. So the region of heart, again, just to say example, I will refer to what I have now. I have severe back pain. I was telling my husband, I have so back pain. I don't know how I'm gonna sit for 1.5 hours. He just gave me this much pill. Okay, the tablet. I just ate it in here, the mouth. But within 10-15 minutes, my back pain is gone. How is that? The medicine I took spread all over my body and it relieved the pain. So, but where I am taking the medicine here, my pain is somewhere else. But the medicine spreaded all over my body. Similarly, soul present in the region of heart, but it spread all over my body. Okay, the next question is, what is the
Shama,
identity
sorry.
of
You
Yep,
didn't answer the question you asked. I was waiting for the answer for that one. The one if you the heart transplant. That's a very interesting question.
That's
for
what
me,
I said. It is present in the heart region, but it is not in the heart. It is spread throughout my body.
So actually, my background is healthcare, and that's why I'm asking this question. I have read, information that in cases as these, people start displaying some, characteristics of the person whose organ has been transplanted. So if they never ate French fries, they actually have a craving for French fries, and they have proved that it is connected to the transplant.
The
So
transplant.
it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it's an interesting thing, and that's why your question was very interesting. Thank you.
That's fine. We will see more about it in this couple of questions, more about how it spreads. So what is the identity of the soul? See, I gave this hint, or I leaked the answer booklet to you guys on Monday itself. Then again, I gave a hint today, but no one prepared or did the homework. Okay, what is the identity of the soul? Soul is eternally individual, but it is part and parcel of the Supreme. The reference is Bhagavad Gita to 12th verse. And how to perceive the soul? Soul is invisible and inconceivable. Reference is 25th verse. So you are saying, I couldn't see it. It's somewhere, but it's spread out. And it's inconceivable, invisible. Like, then what is the proof of the soul? The only proof is Vedic scriptures. So what influence, or what is the influence of the soul that pervades entire body? Like I said, the medicine, like sun pervades entire universe, give lights everywhere. The soul maintains the body. And this is also another concept, like when the breath stop, we will say like the person is dead. So the atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air, that is prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana, and it spreads its influence all over the body of the living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of these 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So with this soul, some describes that the soul, some sees that soul is wow, it's amazing. By the way I'm telling, or some describes that wow, it's amazing. Some hears that it's so amazing. But others, even after hearing, they cannot know it. That's the verse in Bhagavad Gita 29th verse. It's Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschitenam. That verse states how one can see, or how is it amazing, what is that amazing in soul. So let's move to the next section, the proof for existence. Is there any evidences? So as I said, yes, Veda are the evidences. Let's see. First proof is common sense. So someone is dead, we will say, like, say someone from my native is died, I will communicate that as he left his body, or he passed away, so and so passed away, or he left the body, right? In that, ourself, knowingly, unknowingly, we know something is left. The body is still there, but something is left. That's why we are using, right? Passed away or left the soul. And everybody will cry like, oh, she left the soul, left the body, or she passed away. That what is that something passed away from that body makes us to feel she is no more with us. That's why we are planning for the last rituals. That one thing is the soul that passed away. Next proof is consciousness, which means, as we discussed, thinking, feeling, willing, and intentionally aware of it. That is the consciousness. If you have a camera, if you program this camera to take a picture, if a red light comes, it will take the picture. But if you both, it's like with your husband, with your family, with your kid, if you go there, you will have this memory. Wow, it was so awesome. The weather is so good and it's so nice. So you will remember it later point of time, that good memory. That the consciousness. We are conscious that yeah, it's nice, and we can able to recollect back. That proves the existence of soul. Next is the near-death experience or out-of-body experience studies. As you see here, 11 to 14% of average American population who are mentally and physically healthy have this OBE, which is out-of-body experience. So that is something called near death. I want to show a video here. It's taking a minute. I'm sorry, give me a minute.
In Germany, Christina's doctors are also losing their balance.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, okay. So this incident, right? Doctors were amazed by this. For operation, they have given anesthesia to the patient, by which the brain waves were flat. That shows she is unconscious. Eyes are closed, heart is open, as good as dead. That such people found themselves hovering above their body and heard everything what doctor said. And this near-death experience is a very punching proof for the real identity of the person is different from his body. So here again, I want to tell a real-time incident, a story. There's a one famous monk. He was based out of Germany. So he was analyzed with some sort of um, issues in his organs, and he was admitted in the hospital. So it was a serious surgery, like it happened to be, it went like 6 to 8 hours of time was needed to do that. So a couple of person accompanied him to the hospital. It happened like this, like he knows that he is having this problem, but he waited to go to the hospital, like, okay, later, but all of a sudden he fainted and everybody was scared and took him to the hospital, and doctor said, immediately we need to go for the surgery. So the surgery went. The doctors were discussing, it's like long hours, 8 hours, and the doctor were discussed about some golf shot, and the doctor was said like this, and he cut the important part of the vein or the nerve. It started bleeding heavily. So only the couple of doctors and couple of nurses inside the room aware of this, and the doctor said, we need to take it. Oh my God, if this bleeding happens so profusely, then we need to stop it. So they tried everything, and the surgery was done. After that, this monk was like in unconscious state. Then when he came to conscious, he asked the doctor the exact short name. So you love that, isn't it? The doctor was like, how does he know that? So he immediately looked into the doctor and the nurse. They said, we didn't say, because they are all part of it. Then the doctor said, please, what do you know? He said, I know when you were doing that, you cut my nerve stating this shot. So I remember that, and you guys were scared. And whatever they discussed, this person was able to say it. This exactly happened. So the doctor said, like, if you want how much ever money for this, for my mistake, I will do that. My hospital will do it. But please don't go to the court and sue us, and like don't spoil my rest of my life. The monk was like, no, but I don't want to do it. But I was surprised when I came here. I felt like I'm watching a movie. I was standing outside, like out of my body, and seeing what you guys were discussing. At that time I was curious who got me here. So I just went out to see who is with me. There were a couple. One was like having, always he will say something, or like they will be in argument. So he was like, did that guy also came with me? Is he crying or laughing? So I just went ahead to the another room, waiting room, and to see that guy was crying and praying for me. I was like, oh my God, I thought very bad about him. And he was like, oh my God, I'm here, then what is happening inside? So I just rushed to the operation theater to see you guys were talking about the gold shot, and like it was nice you did this. I saw that. Then after a while you was struggling to stop the blood coming out, and I don't know what happened. When I wake up, I am inside the body. So this is an example of out of body experience. Nowadays, or near death experience, nowadays, like even there are many therapies, they are doing this out of body experience where they will ask you to close your eyes, come out of the body, go to the terrace and see what are the objects present, drew it. So in 1996, in Reader Digest, they published a book named Into the Unknown. So there are a lot of books and articles there for near death and out of body experiences. It's like enough research is there. This is one of the cardiologist and professor. They mentioned like near death experience with impeccable scientific credentials. And there are research on eternal soul is going on for many years. As you can see, so many books available on the market for this out of body experiences. So one, this was an amazing research where Ian Stevenson, Carlson Professor of Psychiatry, he investigated around 2,000 cases for reincarnation research. This is also a proof of soul existence. So what is reincarnation? It is regain an insight, which means the soul leaves one body and again comes inside another body. That is called reincarnation. In olden days, we saw on TV somebody who recollected their previous life, even like in 2014, 2015, there are so many cases in India about reincarnation. So there are a lot of books in market for this reincarnation theories. And also some you can see they might have a lot of phobias, and the reincarnation research found out these phobias are good or bad impression from previous life. Just like wind carries fragrance, soul carries good or bad experience. Therefore, these phobias come from maybe in your past life. In our past life, we might died of drowning or attacked by some weapon, and we are still having that phobia in our life. So here is another example, this medical proof of reincarnation. These two are twins, even though they are identical. And genetically, we will say like one egg is split into two from the mother's womb. So they have the same genetic material, but they have the deep contrast between them. One is hot-tempered, another is a soft-natured guy. Why? Because they are of two different souls. Even though they look similar, they came out of the same mom, same egg splitter, they practically have difference in their character because of their difference in soul. I want to show you a video clip here. It's a 6 minutes video clip about James, who was a fighter pilot who born or reincarnated. And let's see what this guy is telling about. After the discussion, they took us to the place. They asked their friend's name, his sister name. He was able to recognize and tell about everybody exact, this happened, this happened. So this is another example, a great example to show the soul exists. And the same soul died in the plane crash has taken birth in James' body now. It's scientific way to understand this. Another one, the theories about reincarnation, as you see, by different people. Benjamin Franklin, Adam, Socrates, everyone believed in this reincarnation. Another quick story from this case study of the famous Ian Stevenson. He did around 2,000 case studies on reincarnation. This person belongs to India. So when she was this 5-year girl old, this 5-year, her name is Shukla. He was from West Bengal. She remembered her past life, previous life, and she told my name was Mana before. And she mentioned the place in Ratkala, and she was telling so many things. So their parents thought, let's go there and figure out what's exactly there. So she was a little more than 5 years old. She went they took her to that same place. there was a small village. She just avoided all the wrong turns towards their home and finally went towards their home, and she recognized her previous lifetime house, her relatives like mother-in-law, brother-in-law, husband, daughter. Even like she went inside and she told like there is a suitcase over there and it has 3 or 4 saris with this color. When they opened it, they figured out like exactly the same number of saris present there. This is also another case, or we can say like another example for reincarnation. But someone can ask, okay, this lady, this guy, so only 2 remembered, 3 remembered, okay, 3,000 remembered, why not I? God is protecting us with the covering. Imagine how painful it will be if someone remembers he was a goat. Oh, like be happy. I don't know if I remember I was a animal in my last life, or someone killed me or stabbed me. So I ended up in a fatal accident. That's why I died. It would become a very sick nightmares. So it's great that God gives me the forgetfulness to forget what happened in my previous life. But to recollect, the subtle mind comes with the soul. So what happens is at the time of death. Now let's see the mechanism of reincarnation. So we discussed the soul leaves the gross body and taken to another life. The mind has the previous experience, taste, desire. Accordingly, we will get the next body. In fact, our mental existence transform into a tangible form as soon as there is an opportunity. Say right now, I am sitting in between so many waves, but I couldn't see those. But if I have a radio and try to tune in, or a TV antenna, I can catch those waves. Similarly, our existence is in a subtle form, but as soon as the soul is awarded the next body, then the soul is given the body which give a shape to our desires. And story of a college mate, he want to desperately go to America. At the time of death also, he has the strong desire that I want to go to America. He born in America, he might born in America in his next birth, but not sure about he would be a human, because type of body is governed by 2 things: what I desire, what I deserve. What I deserve is based on the karma, good or bad I did. What you deserve is based on your karma, whether it is good or bad. He might be a human or a dog or whatever it is. So in this way, we get our next body, like we change our dress. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita 8.6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajate anta kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada bhava bhavitaha. You can see the different guys here. Whatever the state of mind or at the time of death they are leaving, they will get the next body. The translation of this verse says this: whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will remain without fail. So we accept our body and one body after quitting the other, depending on 2 things: desire and what I deserve, what that is good or bad karma. Again, I know it's getting late, but I'll tell one quick story. It's about the story of Bharat Maharaj. He is the greatest king of his name only. India got the name Bharatvarsha. He is the son of Rishabhadev, incarnation of God. He was the greatest king, had lot of opulences. He left everything and he wanna search the spirituality. He wanna do more spiritual devotional service. He went to a forest, started doing yajna and tapasya. But one day he saw deer. Mama deer was about to give birth, and that mama deer passed away. So the little one, he don't know what to do. He was like just born moment, and the mom is no more. He got compassionate towards that little deer, and he was pampering and he was petting the deer. So slowly, he deviated from his spiritual path and he started taking care of the deer. When doing tapasya, he will think that, oh, the deer might have ate, or the deer will come and sniff him. he will forget. He forgot all this devotional service. What reason he left his kingdom, he forgot that totally. Then one day the leaf disappeared. The deer disappeared, and this guy thought like, oh my God, what might happen? Might be the tiger attacked him. I didn't take care of him. So he felt so much guilty. At the time he passed away thinking of the deer, and he gave birth as a deer in his next life. But by Krishna's mercy, he remembered everything, what mistake he did. So as soon as he remembered everything, he went to the same place where he left the body and started continuing his devotional service of thinking about God. The Smaranam he did all the time. And when the deer left the body, he became a Brahmana in his next life. His name was Jada Bharata. At that time, he remembered the last two incarnations, Bharat Maharaj and the deer. So he was so conscious, like, no, I don't want to lose this time and again wanna born again. So he pretended to be a deaf and dumb, like a lazy, foolish man or madman. He won't talk. He won't even shower himself. He won't wear a clean dress. Just avoid the association of others. Internally, he will think about God all the time. It was like, wanna go back to Godhead. This is also a scriptural reference for reincarnation. So when one ignores God law and engages in sinful activities with impure mind and sense, then they will get the animal bodies. What does that means? I have my laptop here. That impurity here, or that it's similar to the viruses. I have it in laptop. I need to have this virus detector to remove that. Similarly, our mind has lot of impurities like the virus, like lust, anger, greed, delusion, pride, and envy. So if the number of virus get increased, or if my laptop got Trojan virus, I need to clean it. Sometimes what we will do, press Control or Delete and remove everything. Delete the unwanted stuff, but still the screen goes crazy. Similarly, mind becomes crazy with hyperactive thoughts due to the viruses which are troubling. An example of this virus, Ravana, we all know, he wanted to catch hold of another man's wife. He got destroyed. Duryodhana, he wanted to capture the property of Pandava. He got destroyed. Duryodhana had greed. Ravana had lust. These are the impurities. When our mind is cleansed with the impurities, we will be free and happy. So this is the process. Actually, what you think you will become. If this guy, as you see here, he wanna eat more flesh, more meat, and he will take birth as a tiger in his next life. The process of mantra meditation, if you do that regularly, it is like cleaning the mirror. One can clean his mind and become happy by the path of mantra meditation. If your mind becomes impure, then abdominal activities, and it lies down to animal life. So this guy, he wanna sleep more. So you deserve to get a polar bear body, that he might sleep longer, like 6 months and year. The human form of life we got is to develop the intelligence, to discriminate and lead a reasonable life. But if we engage in sinful activities, let's see what are those sinful activities. There are 4 pillars of sinful activities. Let's discuss what it is. First is meat eating fish, meat, egg. If you see, this guy is slaughtering the animal and cooked a lot of variety of food. This is causing violence and so much pain to other creatures. The worldwide number of animals killed for food in 2008 was 45 billion. 45 billion animal was killed just to feed someone. It is according to Food and Agricultural Organization. Everyone of us know Manu. Who is Manu? According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principle, we are following that. We are like descendant of Manu. He told like even the killer of an animal to be considered a murderer, because animal food is never meant for a civilized man whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead, not to cause pain to others. He says that in the act of killing or the conspiracy, who are all liable to be punished? There are 6. One is who gives permission to kill, one who kills, one who slaughter the animal and selling it, and one who cooks, one who distribute, and one who eats. Once again, one who gives permission, who kills the animal, who sells the slaughtered animal, who cooks, who distribute or serve the food, who eat. These everyone needs to be punished or liable to be punished by the laws of nature. The reference is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 7th chapter, 37 purport for this. If you are more curious, you can go and look into this more detail. Next is intoxication, drinking liquor, drugs, smoking. You can see that boy, how he is suffering. Okay, I'm not killing anybody, right? I'm just drinking for to be in a happy state, but they are against God. They are sinful. Intoxication impedes the clarity of our thinking and make it harder to remember God and do God's will. So intoxicants are themselves materially compounds and become attached to them, binds more to this material world. So we saw meat eating. Next is intoxication. Third is gambling, which means quick money without hard work. Money, 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 like that. So an example is gambling, this lottery, slot machine, blackjack, whatever it is, it's based on untruthfulness. Trying to get something for nothing. One should labor honestly, accept what comes as God's mercy. Next is illicit sex, which leads to sexually transmitted disease like AIDS. Once there was a long queue in the medical college. The person went and asked, like, what was that? Everybody was covering their mouth. They said the long queue had sex because of indulged in illicit sex. Sex is meant for procreation of offspring. It's the children of God. They should be educated, understand the human form of life, know reasonable to go back to Godhead. It's for that purpose of religion. But otherwise, just to enjoy, it is a sinful activities. So as you see here, the one guy will degrade to the pig. He wanna have anything horrible things. The next one is lower form of life. You want to have illicit sex to get a body of a dog, so you can have sex wherever you wish to. That is one Subhashitam. It's Ashanama Manushyanam Kachitascharya Shrinkala Yaya Baddha Pradavanti Mukta Tishtanti Panguvat. The meaning is desire in the name of strange binding for man. Those tied keep running, for those free sit as of limb. It's like irony here. Always if one is tied with a shackle of chain, they can't run. They will be in the same position. But here, the man who is tied with the desire, having the shackle tied to his leg, he will always run to get his desires fulfilled. The one who is free, mukta, liberate from that desires, is free. So beware of desires and think where they take you. So if we lead a responsible life following these religious principles and practicing it, then we will be like having a good life. What is that? Associate with the saintly people and elevate our consciousness, free from these impurities of the world. We will become like a lotus. Even in a muddy water, the lotus is clean. The next is acquire knowledge by reading the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavatam. Scriptures teach you what God wants you to do. These are the manuals of mankind. So study them to purify. Next is the sacrifice, which is what? It's prayers to God, it's like chanting, mantra meditation, praying to God, bow down to Him. These are the sacrifices you can do. Then voluntarily restricting to gain unending happiness. We have a lot of food, the vegetarian, pure life, pure food, fruit, cereal, milk that is offered to God as a devotion and take it as a prasadam. This is also called karma-free sanctified diet. So if you are out of it and follow these, remove the 4 pillars of sin life and follow this, eventually you will go back to the kingdom of God. You can see the steps in where it takes you to the sinful life to go back to God. So now people think, right, I am a soul, I will get purified and get liberated, and I will merge with God and become one with God. That's what many people thinks. So you might have heard some lectures also like Atma is only Paramatma, but that is not true. It's a wrong information. Like you see, our Prime Minister Modi and the citizens of India, all other citizens. The PM can award like give a holiday. He can order like do this. Today is a holiday. He can do whatever it is. The citizen can't do it. There is a difference between like PM and the citizen. Similarly, there is a difference between God and the soul. Whatever he can do it, I cannot do it. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. When was I on mute? Were you able to hear my previous slide?
No.
I will go back. Okay. We are not God, but we are God's property. These are the few rhymes taken from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So just to know about what are we. I am a tiny jiva, but not the ultimate God, I'm sorry. But a tiny part and parcel are the servant of the Lord. Leaving God's company, I was forced to born in pain. In this world filled with agony, again and again and again. Krishna is my Lord, the source of all existence. His form is imperishable, full of 6 opulence. What makes to say one person as God is when he has 6 opulences in full? He is most wealthy, most beautiful, most famous, most strong, most knowledgeable, and most renounced. If once fulfill all these categories, then he can be named as God. Like our last week, we studied about how we can define a real problem. So Krishna pays visit to this world, material world, out of his sweet will to please and protect his devotees and punish the evil. I can create a swimming pool if I buy a home, but God creates the ocean. I can fly a rocket, but Lord floats huge planets. I can invent a dome of light, but God creates moon and sunlight. We make ordinary dolls, but God created us. Lord is the actual doer. I am an imitator. Lord is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, which means he has unlimited power. He knows everything. Who deserves everyone's love and humble service. I am a tiny jiva cast in oceanic material world. Lord is greatest of all. Let us accept the fact wholeheartedly. We are his tiny servants. Let's realize and serve him with joy. For example, if you go to a beach, you will see a big, huge ocean, and you take a bottle out of it, take a bottle and come home. This bottle, right, 1/2 liter bottle, this water also having ocean water. So we are like this, the water filled in 1/2 liter bottle. God is like that ocean. So if this water bottle says, I am an ocean, it's super funny to think like is to do see that, think about the ocean in the beach and think about this bottle, and we are climbing, I am the god. Whatever I clean the water bottle, paint it newly, I cannot become God. This water cannot become the ocean, but it is a part and parcel of the ocean water. So it has all the qualities as ocean water. Quantity wise, it is not there. That's the difference between the soul and the super soul, that is God and us. So this is what I said about the mantra meditation. Let's recite. If you want to unmute yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is like, we used to recite this. One bead is 1 or 8 times. How much ever time you have, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. When we recite it, it's like cleaning our mind. And we can think about, we are tiny and God is huge. We are the tiny children of God. This mantra meditation help us to remove the impurities of whatever we discussed so far. So you can ask me, I am a student, I am a housewife. I appreciate this knowledge. I am working, I have a lot of other things to do. I understand I am the soul, I am different from the body, but how it will benefit me now? Is it really necessary for me to actively know more about soul now? Yes, let's see some practical benefits. So acquiring these knowledge, this divine assert and freedom from demonic nature. You can see these 2 girls. One was like, she doesn't care whatever she does. Like, I don't care, I just want to enjoy. That is the demonic nature. And this girl was like, my action will create my good or bad future. That gives the karma. So she is not arrogant, or she is free from negative qualities. She is thinking to free herself from the negative qualities. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, the Lord says about 2 natures, divine and demonic, or the Daivik, divine, and the Asuric. It's compassion, love, kind, help. Those are the divine natures. Selfish, greedy, angry, lusty, jealousy are demonic. So there is one famous proverb: watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your action. Watch your action, they become your habit. Watch your habit, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So by hearing about soul, knowledge of Gita, good activities nourishes our angel inside, and angel will come out. Otherwise, the animal propensities will increase. This demonic nature will come out. Devotees know God is the center and we are around them. But others will take multiple circles, clashes. There are different circles if you draw around one circle. Like if you have the distance center with that, it won't clash. But if you see a concentric circle near it, it will clash. If you want to be happy and peaceful, you should acquire the divine qualities. Again, these 2 guys, both had the same problem. They failed. One is thinking, I am useless, I want to die, I will commit suicide. The another one is thinking positively, wisely, that yeah, I failed, but what I should do, I should get someone help, prepare good to pass in the exam. That will fear us from lamentation, illusion. I will free us from lamentation, illusion, and fear. One time, when Srila Prabhupada was in Calcutta, Japanese were dropping bombs. Everybody was like so scared and fearful. But Prabhupada was making kachoris. While he was cooking, he was singing bhajans. He was thinking about God. In his thought, he was like, if bomb drops here, I am thinking of God, smaranam of the God. I will go back to Godhead. Or I will offer this kachoris to God and I will have them. So devotees of God never fear. The example is, everybody know about Prahlad Maharaj. So what is that one thing which makes us differ? What is dividing us? It's white and black, India and Pakistan. Hindu, Muslim, based on caste or religion, we are divided. And Hitler killed around 10 million Jews due to the bodily concept. All these differences divide us are based on bodily concept. If we leave that, if you see the Swamijis dancing, German, white, black, Jews, they are out of the bodily conception. Then we can develop the brotherhood. Then positive outlook of our life. You can again see the differences between two persons. One is like, I want to be arrogant. I want to be more selfish. No one is cooperating with me. I want to be mine. Another one is not blaming. He was like, okay, my friend is not cooperating with me. Fine, I will cooperate with them. He develops tolerance, patience, considering everybody is good. Next is meditation for peace, happiness, and prosperity. Again, you can see the difference. One person is thinking he is short, ugly, nobody likes me. Another person is thinking, I am not this body, I am a pure soul. So my defects are superficial to the soul, but I can completely get rid of them using the meditation. I can get the happiness. Next is right use of the resource. There is a verse in Isha Upanishad, that is Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhujenta ma gratta kasya svidhanam. This is like everything animate and inanimate in this world is God's property. So we should take out our quota set for us. Don't be so much greedy to take everything. We know like lot of politicians having lot of monies in the Swiss bank, which is of no use, but we are so many are dying out of hunger. So it's a quick recap what we learned so far, and also like why is it beneficial. We can acquire divine and demonic things. We know the freedom from lamentation, fear, illusion, brotherhood develop, positive outlook and attitude, and mantra meditation, right use of resources. These are what we discussed today. Am I a matter or am I a spirit? 6 changes of living body, proofs, mechanism of reincarnation, difference between soul and super soul, practical benefits, which we discussed so far. So next session would be very interesting on a topic of substance and shadow. Would like to meet you guys again next week. And if you have any questions, we can discuss now. Thank you everyone for joining and actively interacting during the session.
Thank you so much.
Amma, thank you so much. It was really good. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have any questions, we can discuss, else we can meet next week. You can feel free to drop the call if you don't have any questions.
Thank you, Shima. See
Thank
you
you.
next week. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Padma.
Thanks for sitting so long. Take care of
Thank
yourself.
you. Sure. Thank you.